Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. And it was very interesting to watch some of the colour draining on the Labour benches as they realised that their pre-prepared line about the SNP budget being backed by the Tories had just been torpedoed by Murdo Fraser. And in fact, it will be the Labour Party once again joining forces to vote with the Conservative Party in this chamber. Not just now, Mr McDonald. I want to move on. You may want to listen a little bit further, because I would have thought that Kezia Dugdale might have learned her lesson previously about using Aberdeen City Council as an example in this chamber. But she hasn't. And she stood up and said that libraries are closing in Aberdeen, which will come as news to people in Aberdeen because the council budget doesn't get set until tomorrow. But furthermore, it will come as news to the administration in Aberdeen because when I read in the Evening Express of that very same proposal about the officers proposing that libraries could close, I read very clearly in that article that the finance convener of Aberdeen City Council, Willie Young, said that he would fight against that proposal when it came into the council chamber. So either Willie Young is going to lose the fight within his own group and the administration are going to press ahead with this, or Kezia Dugdale is coming to this chamber putting forward a proposal that officers have suggested to councillors but that the administration are not going to accept and has used it as a means to yet again imply something that is not going to happen. It's little wonder, Presiding Officer, that Kezia Dugdale on television yesterday gave up on winning the election and said she was going to settle for second place in May. Presiding Officer, during recess week, I visited Stonywood School in my constituency. It was a school that in 2008 I campaigned as a local councillor alongside the parent council and the local community to keep open. I made the argument at the time that the school roll would increase as housing development took place and that there would be a need for a new school building. And the reason for my visit was that rather than it being closed, plans are now in place for a new school building, plans that have been facilitated through the use of Scottish Government money through the Schools for the Future programme, a very welcome investment in my constituency and a welcome investment for the pupils and community of Stonywood, standing alongside other schools in my constituency which have benefited significantly through new buildings being put in place. And there's a reason why that is important beyond simply the fabric of the building. A new school building built through capital has a revenue impact in terms of it being more cost-effective to heat, light and maintain. That frees up revenue spending that very often is spent lighting, heating and maintaining buildings that are no longer fit for purpose and allows that revenue to instead be put towards frontline services. That's an important element of why the Schools for the Future programme is important, beyond creating fit-for-purpose, first-class accommodation for our education system. In terms of health and social care integration, the money that the Scottish Government is putting toward this is very important. I've spoken to a number of healthcare workers and social care workers in my constituency over the last few weeks, and one of the things that they've said is that they believe that bringing the two services closer together and removing some of the gaps that exist within the system is fundamental if we're going to improve the care that is provided to our vulnerable citizens. In terms of bed blocking or delayed discharge, this is exceptionally important. Many of us in this chamber are dealing with constituents who at the moment are unable to exit hospital because there's an inability to get appropriate care packages put in place. Increasing the integration between health and social care, removing some of the silo mentality that exists, and also paying a living wage to care workers and making it a more attractive opportunity for individuals to go into that line of work are all key to removing some of those barriers. The delayed discharge rate in Aberdeen was 0 when I was a member of the council administration. It has crept upwards since then. I believe that there are some policy changes that have taken place at a local level which have stymied some of the progress that was made, but I believe that the approach that is being taken just now will assist in reversing that very unwelcome trend. I'll take a brief intervention from Patrick Harvey.
Patrick Harvey.
I'm grateful to the member for giving way. I'm sure all of us can identify specific elements of any budget that are welcome, but surely he's not asking the chamber to believe that everything is rosy in the garden and that there will be no cuts to local services as a result of this budget.
I'm not entirely sure where in my speech Patrick Harvey drew that inference, but what I've said repeatedly What I've said repeatedly, and I quoted the leader of my own local authority, who said that the savings that they were expected to make in Aberdeen City Council would be able to be absorbed without an impact on frontline services and on jobs. So if they're able to make that saving, I can only quote what the leader of the council herself is saying publicly on this issue. I've taken one intervention and I've only got 40 seconds left. But what we also see in the north east of Scotland is a drive towards improved infrastructure, the AWPR being pushed forward, the rail improvements to the north east of Scotland again being pushed forward, the new schools being delivered. But one of the things that I think is absolutely fundamental is the doubling of the attainment fund, which will benefit schools in my constituency and schools across Scotland in reducing the gap that exists too often between some of our most deprived communities and some of our more better off communities. That is exceptionally welcome funding, and it's why I will be happy to support the budget this evening.